Hey everyone, it's Dan Charles with LiteForex. It is January 15th, 2020. I'm going to break down the major Forex pairs, starting with the Australian USD. Okay, so last day I was looking at this on the 10th and I was expecting more upside. And you can see we did get some more upside, but it's really just kind of choppy and trying to figure out where it's going from here. Is it going to break out? Is it going to break down? To me, this looks like a strong bottom. We have the low support at 68.51. That price was hit twice on the 9th and the 10th. And then we have some more support at lower levels, particular 68.40. It looks like we got good support at the halfway point, like I drew in on the monthly chart. I think there's more upside, and it looks like we have some support at 6,900. So I'm leaning more towards a break to the upside. The higher time frames are definitely pointing in that direction. We look at the 60-minute. Looks more like we could get a break to the upside. And as well with the 240, you can see here, broke down, found some support around 68.50, breakout, going a little bit sideways, strong breakout today. Really needs to bust through resistance at 69.20, and I think this will be on its way. Let's take a look though at the Australian futures. Yeah, so Australian futures look a little bit strange with all the green, but to me it looks more like we got the support at 6,900. It's like I drew in last day, the halfway point on the 10th candle, exactly roughly 6,900, support at that price. I think there's more upside. The weekly chart's definitely lining up more for a break to the upside. And like I pointed out, it looks like we got a pretty good bottom on the monthly chart. So I'm gonna maintain being more bullish on the Australian USD. On to the Euro USD. Okay, last day on the 10th, I said I thought there was going to be more upside on the Euro USD. So there was more upside, and I think there's more upside. I think this is setting up to go higher. I'm liking all the time frames at this point. Yeah, it's definitely setting up more bullish. You can just look and see, drawing this nice trend line here. I'm expecting this to break out. See if we can break this most recent high of 1.1239. We're a ways away from that. Let's see if we can break. There's possible resistance at 1160 here. It did hit that price, go through it at 1164, but then close below, closing at around 1151. So let's see if it can break above that price, but it's definitely lining up more bullish on the euro. Let's check out the futures. Yeah, so you can see the futures, when I was looking on the 10th, I talked about this support at the low, 11,305. That price was hit on December 20th as well. And it was also a closing price roughly on December 6th. So you know there's strong support. I was confident this was going to bounce. Did bounce, then it gapped down, and here it is today. Some resistance at 1.12,000 though. So we have to be aware of that. But I like the euro more to the upside going forward. If we're looking at the 60 and the 240, you can just see this support here, 11,950. So you get this little breakout, pullback. Support on the 60. Right at that price there. Let's see if this can continue the break. yeah, that's kind of how I'm leaning on the Euro USD. Okay, Pound USD. I was leaning more bearish when I looked at this on the 10th. You can see it went lower. Right now it is holding the lower levels set on the 23rd of December, which was 1.2905. It's holding that price. I think we're going to get more upside. The weekly chart is definitely lining up now more towards a bounce going forward. I'm going to be more bullish on the Pound USD. I just like the way it's holding. It held that low. It was a little bit choppy. I was neutral previous in a few of my previous videos, but I was leaning more to the downside, but more trying to stay more neutral because it was a little bit sideways. It did break down through this support at 30.52 on the 13th, and now to me it looks like it should rally to the upside. Let's take a look at the Pound Futures. So on the Pound Futures, you see the support put in on the 13th and 14th at that low of 29.96. Then the next day, 29.98. Pulls up. Yeah, to me this looks more bullish. And you can really see that support on the weekly at 3,000. Let's draw that in, yeah, roughly 1.3,000. You see that support right there. So yeah, I'm going to be I'm definitely looking more towards an upswing on the Pound USD. Let's check out the New Zealand USD. New Zealand USD, last day I said I was expecting a bounce to the upside. Now you can see it did bounce to the upside. When I looked at this on the 10th, to me I was expecting a bounce to the upside. It's the way I was playing it. It bounced and then it pulled back and then continued to go down. And now it's the low today, 65.84. Now you can just see that center line that I drew in, it's holding that exact price. 65.83, 65.84, yeah, so it's holding that price. I'm expecting a rebound on the New Zealand USD for tomorrow. The 60-minute, you can see the support put in at the low, 66.07. Been a bit choppy though, but whenever you see something like this where you get this big drop today, long upper wick, you can see the support. It's putting in support at higher prices. It's definitely choppy, no doubt about it. I'd like to see this bust through 66.20 to confirm that we're going to break out to the upside. But just the way the daily chart is lining up, especially with this candle, I'm expecting some upside. Let's take a look at the New Zealand futures. Okay, New Zealand futures, the low today is 65.90. So it's holding this level. Of course, whenever you see price going up and starts breaking down, you don't want to see it break. If you're a long, you want to see it hold the most previous level, which was 65.74. It's holding that. There's this gap, all this space where the moving average is. I use the double exponential on 14 input, but whenever you get all this gap, it's going to want to get back to that moving average. And I didn't like the way it was trading with all this gap. I think this is ready for a rebound to the moving average. You can see that support at that center line of the monthly candle as well, 6,600. I'm definitely leaning more to the upside on the New Zealand USD. Okay, USDCAD. USDCAD, we looked at this on the 10th. I was expecting this to pull back a little bit, but I said we might pull back and then turn around. So I was bullish more long term, but short term I thought it might come back. So you can see it did come back, but it held the low on the 10th, that low of 1.3030. The next day it hit 30.32 and then started pulling up. But you can just see the way it's been trading the last 4 days. It's not very. It's not what you want to see. It's not any time to take an entry just by looking at the way this is trading. I like to take my entries once we come back to the moving average and we set up that way. We can see we have a distance from the moving average. It is putting in, still holding these lows on the 10th and the 13th, putting in a higher low today of 30.35. But just the upper wicks and lower wicks, it's not looking all that nice. Let's take a look at the 240. Yeah, you can just see how the 240 has been very, very choppy. It did break down today, hit some resistance at 30.79, 30.78. So yeah, big breakdown. 10 o'clock my time, which is Pacific time zone. And yeah, this looks like it could pull up though. It's whenever you get a setup like this, the way it's trading, you know, to me this looks like it still could come back to the moving average. And the way the weekly's setting up, it looks like that could be the case as well. And even the monthly, you know, price came up. I drew in the center line of the candle, roughly 31.26. It came up, it hit a high of 31.05, and then you can see it starting to come back down. And just the where it is right now, around 30.50. This one's a tough one, so let's look at the Canadian dollar to see if we see anything that makes me get my opinion more solid. So when I look at this, to me it looks like there's more upside on the Canadian dollar. And when I looked at the Canadian dollar on the 10th, I was saying that we could bounce, but we could come down, which is exactly the opposite of what I said with the USDCAD. I said on the USDCAD we could drop, but then turn around. So that's exactly what happened, but you can see here the lower highs. You know, looking at this one, to me this is more like it's setting up to the upside. Canadian dollar, you can see just based on the monthly chart, you can see we're trending. We're a little bit sideways, but we are trending more to the upside. And I did talk about the strong support on the Canadian dollar at 75 cents. So I think this is looking more bullish at this point. Let's see if the Canadian dollar can break out tomorrow and the USD CAD pulls back. Okay, lastly, USD yen. When I looked at this on the 10th, 9 out of 10 times when you see a setup like this, it's going to pull back. It's going to pull back the next day, especially after I talked about hit that resistance. So we had this resistance around here, around 109.68, 109.68, and even 109.71. So we hit a high at 109.69 on the 10th, and then very, very bearish, far from the moving average. 9 out of 10 times this is going to pull back, but then look what happens. It gaps up and then continues the upswing, busts through that resistance. So the monthly chart is definitely leaning more bullish. The 240 is looking more bullish. The 60 is about as sideways as you can get. Very rangy. We got that resistance at 110. But look how sideways we are on the USD yen. So it's best to wait for it to either break above 110 or break below the support at 109.83. This one's more of a wait and see for me. If I look at the daily chart, it's looking more like this could pull back more, but you can really see that resistance at 110 where it closed below yesterday and opened and then started just dropping today. So You know, I'm going to be more neutral on this one. I'm leaning more towards this coming back more, and just with how choppy it is on the 60, it's got to break above 110 for me to be bullish. So I'm going to be neutral on the USD yen, but let's take a look at the yen futures. Okay, looking at the yen futures, this looks more to me like the yen futures could have a rebound. Even just looking at the weekly time frame, it's looking more like there could be a bounce tomorrow to the upside. Clearly, the monthly is looking as bearish as you can get. Yeah, so by looking at this, this looks more like there's upside on the yen futures, which would obviously put the USD yen pulling back more, which is what I was leaning more towards. But let's see if it can bust through 110. It's kind of a 60-40. I'm 60% leaning towards this pulling back. Of course, you're going to look at key support prices, which was resistance, 109.70-ish, 109.68, 70. That's going to be the support. Okay, that is the breakdown for the 15th of January. Please subscribe to the channel. Sign up for a demo account at the link below. Hit the like button if you like my accuracy. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.